Hello, and welcome to Germantown Municipal Television's special coverage of Election 2020. My name is Colin Cardo, a student at Houston High, and I'm excited to bring you interviews with the Germantown Alderman candidates. Joining me now is the candidate for Alderman Position 3, Terri Johnson. Ms. Johnson has earned degrees in political science and philosophy at Murray State University and the University of Mississippi. She has also pursued a career in pharmaceutical sales. She's been active in state and national politics across the country for many years. Ms. Johnson and her husband Todd are raising 5 children. She is here to share with us her plans as an alderman for the city of Germantown. Ms. Johnson, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Colin.
So if you'd like to start off and just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Kentucky, very small town in Kentucky, but I've been in Germantown now for 18 years. I've spent my professional life working with cardiology patients and Alzheimer's patients, advocating for them and their families, raising 5 children, and of course it's never quiet or calm at our house, but we like it that way.
Yes, ma'am. What compelled you to run for office?
Well, I appreciate that question because I'm not someone who really saw myself running for office until last year, when our home flooded in the middle of the night on June 7th. We had a lot of rain that night, and due to a lot of reasons, our home flooded. We ended up with 3 feet of water, and in the aftermath of that, 2 things happened. Number one, I started doing some checking about how the city spends money and what kind of money was allocated to our drainage system. And I wasn't super happy with what I found out there. And then the other thing is that the city of Germantown came together in an amazing, amazing way to help us. We had people every day just show up to help. People we knew, people we didn't know, people from churches in our community, people from other organizations in our community, and it was so overwhelmingly supportive. I couldn't just sit here and not try to give back to my community.
As Germantown grows and changes, what is your vision for the city moving forward?
My vision is a city that is much like it is today, with a more cohesive feel between our residents and our government. I think the piece that's missing is clear, precise communication. We have a great town to live in. Germantown is incredible. We don't lack much, and our people are amazing. I think the thing that most people, as I talk to them each day, that most people are concerned about is that disconnect between those who govern our city and the everyday residents. And so that would be my vision, to streamline that and fix that relationship moving forward.
Due to the pandemic, the city's budget is much tighter. What needs do you see, and how do we balance within the budget?
Well, obviously, COVID-19 has affected everyone and everything. What we have to do as a city is continue to ensure that our public safety needs are met. That's not a place that we skimp. However, we can watch our budget and spend on only necessary things right now. The city of Germantown does a lot of spending on what I call nice to have things. Not necessary, but nice to have. No one complains about the nice to have things, but in a time when we really have to watch our money and our tax dollars, those things can be put on hold right now until we can weather this pandemic together.
The Germantown Municipal School District is one of the best in the state. How do you plan to strengthen communication between the Board of Mayor Aldermen and the Board of Education and increase support for our schools?
Well, I like the way that question was worded. How do you plan to strengthen that communication? Because here's the thing. There's been zero communication for the last 2 years. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen and the school board haven't had a work session, to my knowledge, in at least 2 years, and that has to change. We are all headed in the same direction. Every person in the city of Germantown has a vested interest in our school system, whether they have children in it or not. People don't move to Germantown for anything besides the schools. People want the great schools and the safety, and so we have to make sure that our schools and our government have a close working relationship. And right now, that's just not happening. So what we have to do is make that happen again.
What do you hope to accomplish in your 4 years as alderman?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, I'd like to put a stop to the rapid overdevelopment that was started in 2007 by my opponent with the first Smart Growth Initiative. That has gotten out of hand, and our residents, by and large, just don't support it. I walk every day and knock doors and talk to people, and there are many, many vocal people who do not support that at all. And I think we need to listen to that. The other thing I would say is I hope to accomplish bringing back some trust into our community leaders. Right now, like I said, there's a disconnect about what the people want and what actually happens in government, and I think that reflects a lack of communication.
What issues most concern the citizens you spoke to?
The number one issue that concerns most citizens is apartments, development/apartments. When people say development, what they're really concerned about are hundreds and hundreds of new apartments coming into our city. It's a valid concern, and that's why I am against any new apartments. Some people will tell you that they're okay with mixed use apartments, but that means, usually on the ground level you have an office building or a retail store and then apartments from there up. And technically that means it's not a standalone apartment building. But here's the thing, our infrastructure, our schools, our first responders, and gosh, even our traffic, we can't take much more of that. And so I understand where the people are coming from, and I support that 100%. I'm not gonna vote for new apartments. That's what the city has made loud and clear. They've made it very clear they don't want it, our residents don't want it. And so I think that's the number one issue, and that's where we have to be really careful.
Do you have any last comments you'd like to leave us with?
This election is super, super important for Germantown. I know obviously a lot of people are paying attention to national politics right now, and they're paying attention to the presidential race. But I would say that our local elections affect each of us on a daily basis way more than the presidential election will. We live and work here, and so the decisions we make at the local level affect all of us every single day. Who we elect in this cycle will determine the future of Germantown for generations to come, because what is done can't be undone. And so we need to pay very close attention to our candidates, what they support, what they don't support, and make our choices very carefully.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Colin.
That's all the time we have for this interview. I'd like to thank my guest, Terri Johnson, who is running for Germantown Alderman Position 3. If you'd like to watch more of our election coverage, please follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Germantown Municipal Television. You can watch us on Comcast Channel 17, AT&T Uverse Channel 99, and on our YouTube page. We'll be back with more interviews from Germantown Alderman candidates.